In this session, we're going to dig further into head accents in dialogue and how we use them, and some other stuff, before we get to the secret. Oh, I just wanted to say, yes, on this hitting accents, Milt Kahl gave 3 lectures at the Union in Hollywood about 15 years ago or something, just when he was quitting the industry. And he had a thing where Geraldine Page, the actress, was saying something to the little girl. The little girl, she's saying the little girl is ugly or something. Who would want a little girl like you or something? I don't know what the line is, but it was full of accents. And what Milt did was he ran this thing in the the pencil test. The woman says, well, and then she took the chair and, who? And she sat down on the chair, and then she picked up, who would want a little girl as ugly as you? Or something like that. And he hit boom, boom, boom over to the chiffonier. And I said, how did you do that? It's wonderful. And he said, thank God for an intelligent question. His answer was, she hit those words so hard, whatever they were, well, who would want an ugly little girl like you? She hit him so crisply and so hard. He said, I couldn't do it with the body. I thought I'm going to have to use I'll have her stool over here and I'll slam her down. He said, then I can get the stool go down and then the bum goes down and then I got all this stuff to work with. And that scene is one of the mind-blowing pieces of perfection, I think. It's because it's got everything going. It's absolutely wonderful. Everything we're talking about here is all working fully in that shot. So you hit those accents. That's the conclusion is, hit the accents hard, and hit them with the hands if you can, or hit them with a prop, or anything. I mean, I noticed it. Was it the other day? I was doing this, and I was talking away, and I suddenly went. Everybody went. Well, people do that. I've had enough of this shit. They just don't they? They or I'm quitting. I'm quitting. 2 accents. 3 accents. One, I'm quitting. I'm quitting. It's not I'm quitting. That is meaningless, isn't it? Ken Harris said, you know that, is it Marvin the Martian has a mouth and some sort of a hat and big feet in one of those Bugs Bunny things? He's a black, and he had no mouth. I don't know how he talked. Anyway, something, I can't do it. I'm sure somebody can do that voice.
The R32 modulator.
That's
I'm
it.
going to blow up the Earth.
That's it. But it's, Ken Harris said he learned more about dialogue doing Marvin the Martian than he ever did with Bugs Bunny or the Roadrunner. Well, the Coyote never spoke. But anything where he had dialogue, he learned more from this because he had to there was no mouth. So you had to get those head accents right? Or body accents. Did he have hand? I think he had a gun or something. I think you're restricted. He was very much restricted to the head. And he said, boy, did I learn about about dialogue, because we're having no mouth. So got to get the head. And Ken, being Warner Brothers, where it's mostly pantomime, that was, I would say, his weakest part, with enormous respect. He just didn't have long dialogue scenes, to work on. So you hit the head, you hit those hand accent. Now, there's a very important thing coming up here. But so you just hit whatever you've got. I find, for my taste, a lot of the Hollywood stuff, it's too much, Well, it becomes corny. Well, at last you've come home, or it's working too hard. So you can do an awful lot with, well, at last you've come home. or last you've come home. You know, you can do an awful lot of much better acting with it. So the main thing is you've got to find the accents, and you've got to program your brain so that you don't even need to listen to the soundtrack anymore. You've listened to it so much, it's in your head. And you hit the whatever accent. Now, they found a wonderful thing, either during Pinocchio or after. And the old guys didn't know it. Ken didn't know this one. And I don't think Art did. In fact, he didn't. And this was the Mills and Frank and Ollie and Lounsbury and everybody figured this one out. Let's put, at last your home. Let's say we're going to hit at. No, let's do at last. At last, we'll hit here. This is our big accent. Frank Thomas said on Pinocchio, the boy's voice for Pinocchio was so naive that they had to get these head accents up way early. If you were going to say, at last, because it was so little kid naive, they would find they had to get the head up 8 frames early. So the head accent would come up here, say. Anyway, very much, to make the thing work, you had to be up there early. And then you would have the vowel on the modulation, but the head would come up terribly early.
Well, at last you're home.
Now in slow motion. The head is up 4 frames ahead of the vocal accent. The head goes down again to get ready to go up again, to be up 4 frames ahead of the next vocal accent. The head accent goes down 8 frames ahead of the next softer vocal accent, followed by a head accent up as he finishes speaking.
Well, at last you're home.
And they found it with working with soundtracks with Bing Crosby, who had this soft voice, you know, everything is woofy, that they had to get any accent out of it, they'd have to get up early. And this led to this discovery that you should have the head accent or accents 3 to 4 frames early. So you're going to hit that accent there. Say we're on 2s, so I just kind of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, etc. They've got to hit on that frame. The rule was hit the head accent 3 to 4 frames early. It's a terrific thing. And you get much better action, much more convincing. The guy starts to talk. There's drawing 17. Oh, golly, we're going to have to put the mouth modulation on there. But you could hit it on 15, 3 frames ahead, okay? That's 3. And if you were on 1s, then you'd do it 4 frames ahead. However it works out on the chart. It's 3 or 4, whatever's convenient. And I would put the word in front of this, at least. Just insert at least. Where do you put that in? At least. But that's their rule of thumb. Hit it 3 or 4 frames early.
Is that for all accents or just in this case of Pinocchio?
No, all accents. All accents. This is an absolute, this is a all accents. In other words, if we're going, here's the character, and he's saying something here, and he's going to go up and he's going to hit. There's the mouth modulation. You get up here. You might, yeah, you get up close. Let's get up. Let's go even further. Get up there 3 or 4 frames early. And then mouth action on the modulation.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
So it's like the extra drawing in a way. You're getting an overlap or extra bang for the buck by doing it. It's up there, and of course it reads it. It reads
Hi.
earlier. Makes it read better.
Now you're saying 3 to 4 accents on like even, or 3 to 4 frames early on even like a really hard accent? Would you like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get the head up there 3 or 4 frames early on any accent.
Uh-huh.
So whether it's up a lot or up a little.
So you bring it up to bring it down on that?
No. Well, you may cushion down after, he's talking away. But if you're hitting something strong, you get up there 3 frame or 4 frames early.
I just was wondering if that was one of the rules that you thought maybe was
No,
an
this is a
exception,
wonderful
or...
rule. This works. It just works.
Okay.
This works. I don't know. There may be exceptions. I don't know of any. It's a terrific later development after the Golden Age.
It's more common to have head accents go up, but of course head accents can go anywhere. Up, down, or sideways.
Hi. 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 Hi.
Here are 4 head accents going down.
Don't give me any argument. Don't give me any argument.
When you have a beat, say this is 1 and this is 13. Say it's a 12-frame beat, right? March time. This is 1, 13. The animator, and you'd have, golly, how many frames are there? 1, Say this is even timing. The rule for among animators is if you're doing a dance, the person hits the beat. Say I'm doing a preparation for a dance, and it's in March time. Right, like that. That's on 10s, isn't it? Da-dum. It's faster. Anyway, say it's dum-dee-dum-dee-dum. That's March time. You would hit hit the contact 2 frames ahead of the beat. That's the sort of rule that animators have for a dance, right? Get the foot down 2 frames before the actual musical beat, before the drum goes boom. Okay, but there's a better one. Which Mo came from the cutting room and was trained with a wonderful editor in England. And he said what they do is they divide it into 3. Whatever the beat is, divide it into 3 and hit it a third of the before the beat. Which is really, in this case, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. Is that? Have I done it right? It's about 4 frames ahead if it's a 12-frame beat. That's the live action rule, isn't it? So I'd rather follow, who knows? Try the live. If you've got a musical track, I certainly would try that if you're hitting a beat. I'd be interested to know, since you're going to be doing a lot of that, I'd be interested to know how that comes out. It's certainly going to work with 2. That's what I always did. But I've just recently learned the live action really good people do divide the beat into 3 and go a third before.
It seems like maybe it makes sense that because of what you're saying with hitting the accent of the head 4 before, that it
fits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It fits that theory.
Yeah, it pops you into
3 to 4 early.
I've heard that you want to sometimes start the mouth action 1 or 2 frames before the track.
I'm glad you said that. I'll start to vibrate soon. This is leading to something I feel terribly. I can't even say a sentence without getting upset on this one. Okay, now we get on to this terribly emotional thing here. So the mouth is open here, but the head's gone up here, right? And because of this sort of rule, that later, when you've done your animation, you might want to advance the picture 1 frame, or 2 frames, or 3 frames. Sometimes, the general rule is it looks better with the soundtrack dropped back 2 frames, and conversely, the picture advanced. Your picture's 2 frames early. But the thing is, what you do is you animate level sync. For God's sake, animate level sync. And there's only one level sync, and that's right on the nose, right on the spot, right on the modulation, right on the vowel. Do your animation that way, please. Because then that's set. You know, that's your foundation. You then go into the editing room and you decide whether it's advanced 1 frame, 2, 3. I found there is no rule. I mean, Chuck Jones will tell you it's because of the sound in the theater and the physics waves of the distance going back and the sound travels at this speed, and it's nonsense, because why does it work in a closed space? See, why does it? Nobody knows why it's better advanced. It just is better. Frank Thomas did a very nice thing always with his stuff. He would draw the mouth shapes on the exposure sheet. There's a tongue or something. He would do little scribbles. On the sheet, just little light marks. So he'd figure out his positions, and using this action column is very few animators use it. I mean, it's there for us, and you can go, boom, mark things. In England, all the animators would write all over their sheets, phone Myrtle, it's 3 o'clock, buy new shoes Saturday. The things are a mess. But you should use this. The camera instructions usually pretty clear, and but use that action column as much as you can, because you can see the pattern of things that you're doing on it. You can see if it's very boring, you know, if it's monotonous. You can see rhythms. You start to see visual rhythms in it or something. So Frank would then, if he's animating a bear or something sideways, he would do everything on the front, so that he knew he's doing drawing 9, and it's an open mouth. He wouldn't have to think about it. He'd concentrate on getting the mouth attractive, or his whole thing was to be as appealing and empathetic as possible with his work. He'd snuggle up to you in the screen, kind of, and so he had to work at his drawing. He really worked at it, and so he'd do this. It's a clever way to do it, isn't it? You figure it all out first, the technology. You got your numbers, and then he's going to work on his drawings and getting those. That's where the energy's going to go, having done the planning. That's a good way to do it. I mean, there's very funny bits of lip sync, isn't it? Like The Simpsons, very, very funny, this animated thing of the mouth is like this, and then you close the mouth, and there's teeth everywhere, and then you go out to an ooh, like that. And the teeth pop on and off. And it's a cartoony gag. I mean, it's like Matt Groening's Life is Hell drawings. They're hilariously funny. And obviously, I love The Simpsons. They're doing it to be funny. But for our purposes, generally, the skull's like this, and the teeth are anchored into the skull, and the jaw works on a hinge kind of thing, like that. And so it's a good thing to remember the teeth. I mean, if I'm doing a realistic or convincing character, anchored, what am I trying to write? Anchored. Top teeth, anchored to skull. So we're not going to pop these off and on unless we're trying to be funny about it. The thing about people's mouth positions, when we talk, there's some people like me, the predominant thing, if I can just, anybody open their mouths just slightly? No, you're movie star. This is maybe it's more attractive. You always see it with movie star women and stuff and guys. The top teeth are what reads, isn't it? And a lot of us, like me, it's the bottom teeth. Your top. A lot of top teeth here. Anyway, so, but for general purposes, there's top teeth or bottom teeth. And so when we're animating a character, we want to look at the top teeth and the bottom teeth. This thing about using a mirror, that animators use a mirror, well, we're animating ourselves half the time anyway, and we want to get away from that and into the character we're supposed to be animating. And if you look at yourself in the mirror, what you're doing is I'm looking at the guy with a collapsed upper lip and bottom teeth, whereas 90% of you have the top teeth. You see, so, and if I try to see my top teeth, it's difficult. So you don't want to animate yourself. So I'm kind of anti the mirror business because I would like to get away from animating myself. It's a very interesting thing. I did the animation of the baby most of the way through the picture of the rabbit, and when he's throwing his fit outside the refrigerator, said, "Why'd you do that goddamn thing?" You know, and he's pumping his arms in the air and yelling at the rabbit. And then he stamps off and gooses the woman and see my tray or whatever it is. As I was doing it, I thought, this is very interesting. I've seen, you know, I'm right in the middle of animating it. I said, but I've seen this guy somewhere recently. I've seen somebody doing this. It's very familiar and very recently familiar. And I'm going through it, and I suddenly realized it was I got double taxed by the English government, or as they were trying to double tax me. It was me freaking out in the kitchen that morning. And it was exactly what I do. You know, Jesus Christ. It was all the actions. They were mine. I was just animating me as a shrunken Elmer Fudd baby. You know? So we're projecting everything through ourselves, but these great actors can take any, you know, they turn into any, you never know who they are half the time. So as we want to get our range into the characters, for God, we want to get away from ourselves, isn't it? We're using ourselves as the conduit to do something else. If we're skinny, we're trying to draw a fat man. If we're fat, we're trying to draw a skinny man. We don't want to look at ourselves in the damn mirror. So we don't, you know, our creatures are either this, predominantly this, or this, or this. It's very rare that you get somebody that has both top teeth and bottom teeth working. And the most wonderful voice I ever worked with was Vincent Price, who's absolutely fabulous. He's got, half the time he's got, keep away from Marie Antoinette. And he said, and I just think, oh, stop acting, Richard. We know you love to act. And then he just starts talking with the whole lot. So you have bottom teeth featured, top teeth featured, and then he goes into both sets. It's absolutely marvelous. And then he had, as he got older, he had these big jowls as well. And the face was amazing to work with. And so he had all this, but the other thing about him was when he turned to the front, you don't see it on the film so much, but in a restaurant with him, the eye is like a fish. And there's these teeth here. And then the throat. It was fabulous to work with. You had all this material to work with. It was just fabulous. And of course, terribly clear words and articulation. And I said to him in the restaurant, because his face was very, very odd, which is maybe why I was in the horror films. The face was very wide from the side, and then he flipped to the front, and it would go like this. And I said, my God, your face is like a fish. You know, it's so... He wasn't very pleased, but he was very funny about himself. I might just tell a Vincent Price story. When I went to meet him at the hotel to give him the script for the recording, and I went to the door, and very nervously, and the door opens, and he's like way taller than I expected. The head's way up here, and it was all legs. His legs were sort of up at my head. So he was like a marionette where you have the string up the back. It was all legs going up like this, and he looks down at me, and he says, "Hello, Richard. Come in. I'm a friendly monster." So, and then I sort of, which way do I go? I was standing there, and I was going to go this way into the sort of living room, and but this doorway's open, and this is what I see in the doorway. I swear this is true. I'm not exaggerating. There's a bed here, and there's this woman with her legs, putting stockings on her legs like this, and she's dressed on the top. There's clothes on the top, and I think probably panties or something like. I'm not sure. Anyway, she's like this. or hair was up like that. And she says, so he says, friendly monster. And I start, which way do I go? This way or that way? And I started to go this way, and the doorway's here. And she says, tight little ass, very long legs. So it was like a double blow. I sort of... And he was like that all the time. They were both hilariously funny. Anyway, he was all like that. He was a marvelous guy, and wasn't interested in money. And I paid him well, but I mean, he didn't give a damn, and he was just a terrific ham. He said, you know, I'm 100% pure ham. I'll just, you know, and so you could do anything. He'd try stuff. And the reason he had that amazing voice was he had this very large throat. He was at the dentist, and the dentist said, my God, you've got a throat, a larynx twice the size of anybody I've ever seen. So that would give it this, I can't do it, but this deep thing. So that was fabulous to work with. Now the secret of, I don't think I need to draw this first anyway. I'd like to, let's swing it around. The secret of dialogue in animation, and probably in animation certainly, is this. And it was taught to me by Milt. He said, I had done a lot of study of his tiger in the Jungle Book of the mouth action. And I went to his house. This is again when this is before we went down to the Mexican restaurant. And it's up with all the old showbiz people. And I was talking to him. I said, gee, God, I saw this mouth action, you know, this tremendous command that you have of the dialogue. And he's saying, oh, yeah. And I said, is there any real secret? He says, I'll say there is. You want to learn you want a lesson? You want the lesson, Dick? I'll give you the lesson. Here's the lesson. He said, you know that guy Jim Henson with that little frog? What is it? This is when Henson was alive. This is 25 years ago or something. And the Muppets were a big hit. And he said, with that Kermit the Frog, that little thing, he said, he's a genius because he understands what no puppeteers did before. If you see Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, who used to be on the television in the 40s, 50s, rubbish. He says, and it's all like, what's that stuff they have in England where one hits the other? Punch and Judy. And they all go, and it never works. And he said, and they just stand there and they go, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't function. And he says, here's Jim Henson. He hasn't got a third of the materials to work with that we have, with these goddamn lazy animators we've got, you know. He says, and he's doing a better job of lip action in his rough way than we are. Now, why? He said, I learned the secret when I was doing Song of the South. And I had the fox is going to skin the rabbit alive, or he's threatening the rabbit. And he says, he does this. He says, I didn't move the mouth. It's let me draw it here. He says, I've got this fox, and he's here, and the mouth is, the teeth are like that, and he's got the rabbit sort of on the end of a pole. I think he's got him tied up or something, and he's got I don't know how his hands are, he's pushing the rabbit, maybe he's pushing into a fire or what. He said, what I did was this. I'm going to skin you alive. He said, I hardly moved the upper lip. It's just teeth. I'm going to skin you alive. So he said, it's obviously not in the lip action, because I'm going to skin you alive. He said, the secret, Dick, is progress the action. Go somewhere. He said, that's what this genius, Henson, is doing. You watch that little frog, or any of the others that he's working when he's doing it. He said, he is going somewhere. He's either going back, sideways, He's down, up, imploding, explode, whatever it is. He's going somewhere, right? And he says, and somehow the lip, just the opening and closing, he somehow gets it pretty good. And he says, we can't, our lazy guys, they don't know this. Progress the action.
Hello.
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 There was this old witch, I forget what she looked like. She was saying, she had her hands something like an Italian waiter. Forget, whatever it is. And she was saying, I'm going to give you the magic elixir. Something like that. It was a sort of Indian voice. I'm going to give you the magic elixir. And I had rather nice animation on the hands.
I'm going to give you the elixir.
It was pretty good. And Art Babbitt came in, and I showed it to him. And he said, yeah, it's nice. He said, but Dick, you're twinning the hands. I said, twinning the hands? He said, yeah, they're going at the same time. He said, I hate twinning. Why don't you take the same drawings, just one of the hands, and delay it 4 frames. Four frames. Delay. And I said, what do you mean, reanimate it? He said, no, the same action. Just print it and stick it and paste it on the drawings. So that you're going to get this. So I did, and boy, it was a lot better.
I'm going to give you the elixir.
So it's already much more interesting. And then Ken Harris said, when he saw it, he said, well, that's okay. That's good. But he said, why don't you progress it? And I said, whoops, that's what Milt told me was the secret. He said, oh, yeah, well, I always try to progress it. And I said, well, did you know, Milt says it's nobody does. And he says, well, they were similar, Ken and Milt, in a way. Anyway, I then took all the drawings, Xeroxed the new setup, and I progressed the drawings across the page. Leaned forward. So suddenly you got, I'm going to give you the elixir. You see? Same animation, but progressed. I'm going to give you the elixir.
I'm going to give you the elixir.
It's immediately transformed. So the whole thing, again, the lip action is the least important thing, isn't it? Progress it. And that was a smooth, I'm going to skin you alive, or I'm going to give you the elixir, is a slow progression. But you can have all kinds of progressions. Just progress it somewhere, and you're in business. There's just apropos of symmetry. Most guys don't like, this Hollywood thing of hi there. It's kind of terrible to see things happening just like that all the time, and people get a prejudice against symmetry. And when you do I often go to a life drawing class, and there's a woman standing there just waiting for the class. She's standing there nude, waiting for the first pose, and she's standing there in perfect symmetry, just waiting like this, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And somebody says, well, what'll the first pose be? And then somebody will say, well, it's a bit symmetrical. And the woman will say, oh, is it? Oh, well, I was just standing here. And he said, can you lift up one arm? Okay. She lifts up one arm and said, well, that doesn't look too good. Can you turn the head? So, well, that doesn't look too... Maybe if you move the foot. And, of course, all this is dead. What she was doing was standing in a natural symmetrical pose, which is beautiful, right? So they've screwed it up right away. Because of this insane, somebody must have written a book somewhere in 1900 or 1899 saying symmetry is bad. It's rubbish. Symmetry is, and for acting, we use symmetry when, look at me, I'm starting to lay down the law here. Whenever I'm going authoritative on you, you'll notice that I'm twinning. I'm, you know, I've got a problem with authority, and I don't want to be one. But when I'm trying to sock a point at you, I will do this. You never do this. Always do this. If you see a preacher, any of these guys on Southern Baptists or whatever they are, the TV, when they're talking about, I saw a guy giving a sermon, and it was, you will rise to heaven, and you will, if you do not do this, you will go down. You will go down, 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 down. And you, then they break it. And you, and you, and you will go up. And you, and you, and you will go down, you know. And all will be seen to be the truth, or whatever it is. We turn the pages of the great book, and there's the record of your life before you. Bad, 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 good, 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 good. And then we close the book, and down you go, or up you go. So symmetry can be used terribly, I'm doing it, terribly powerfully, right? You must not be afraid to use symmetry, especially for authority. Somebody in the break asked me, which is a very good question about lip action. What do you do when somebody's talking very, very, very fast? You know, like, I can't do it. I'm not the pheasant plucker. I'm the pheasant plucker's son, busy plucking feathers till the pheasant plucker comes. They're saying very, very fast, right? If it's the same thing, you would still hit. I'm not the pheasant plucker. I'm not whatever the accents you can get, you'd hit those, and you'd have to be on ones for us graphic animators. You'd have to be on ones, obviously. But you don't want you still want to follow the same rules of hitting just the main things, fortune, because it'll just look like a bee squirming around on the mouse. Otherwise, you want to get it and follow. It's just exactly the same principles of hitting the accents and everything, and phrasing it, and progressing it, and you're just doing it faster.
The only thing I'd add to that is that you would reduce your body and head accents by around half, so that they aren't flashing around all over the place. And for fast mouth action, it has to be on ones, but still progress it, still phrase it, and still accent it. In the next session, we'll be looking at directing and performance.